Hey, Culture and Conversations family. I have as a very special guest of this episode of The Sit Down, I have an old friend from my days at Georgia Southern. He goes by the name of James Hammond, but we knew him in college as James D-Pro Hammond.
That name.
Yeah, D-Pro. Because when we played flag football, or at least when they played flag football, and I heard about them playing flag football, James was the only person playing defense as a professional. So they gave him the nickname in our freshman year in college as a D-Pro. So I'd like to welcome to the sit down, James Hammond. What's going on, man?
Man, nothing much, Jameson. Dude, it's been a long time, brother.
Yeah, it has been, man. We were just talking about how long has it been since we've had a chance to, really catch up and sit down and chat and talk a little bit, man.
Yeah, I mean, I also remember you from, them days at the spades table when we used to play over at J Hall on the spades table. Hall. Yeah, man, the thing I always say, man, if you can make it out of J Hall, you can make it anywhere.
That's it. Playing spades, man, it's epic. We were playing all the time, nonstop, into the wee hours of the night.
And when he says we played all the time, folks, you need to understand, this man, we played from 10 a.m. to 10 a.m. some weekends because there was nothing to do.
Yeah.
So, busting heads, throwing cards across the table, making people cry, kicking people out the building for reneging. That's what we did over there.
Yeah. People were really passionate about spades, but we didn't have anything else to do because we were broke college students, so we were just trying to pass the time,
Yeah. Yeah. It's never fun. It was never fun being broke, but we had a great time. I mean, it was a lot of good folks we played with though.
That's
it. Me, you, Matt North.
Yeah. Matt North. Let's see who else. Torrance Simmons, aka Ray. My homeboy from back home, and he went to Georgia Southern too.
Yeah.
We just played, man. We played with a bunch of people, man. So, man, James, the reason I wanted you to come on the sit down is I have been getting into the world of podcasting, doing videography work, been recording stuff. And I've always kind of had some kind of a camera hanging around and some type of a recorder hanging around me, the last couple of years. But this year, obviously, I made a push with Culture and Conversations to really get out here and start doing videography work.
Yeah.
And, I saw some of the great things that have been going on with you in your timeline on social media, things that you've been doing with Ikon Filmworks. And I just wanted to give you a chance to kind of talk about what got you into videography and how we got to this point. And, maybe you can help me also understand how to develop my eye and my ear, as a podcaster. So go ahead, man.
Yeah, so the funny thing is that the first thing that actually got me into videography was I kind of got thrown into videography because, as we all know, I never know how to stop talking. I've always had a big mouth. So I'd like to say that the reason why I got thrown into videography is because when I was in high school, I had a teacher, actually track coach, Coach Seals. He kicked me out of the classroom because I wouldn't stop talking, cracking jokes on him. I could never stop talking. So he kicked me out of the classroom and he sent me to my other track coach's classroom, Dr. Futrell. And Dr. Futrell basically was like, James, we know you love to tell stories. We know you love to talk. Tell a story with this camera one time. So he taught me a few things with the camera while I was in high school. This was between my sophomore and junior year of high school. Taught me a few things with the camera, and next thing you know, I'm just going around the school telling different stories with the camera, becoming obsessed with just using different camera angles, all those things, until finally I decided, you know what, I really want to, turn my life into this. So that's what happened. It went from doing that in high school, pretty much out of being punished, to me getting an internship my junior year of high school with Fulton County Schools.
Oh, wow.
Where I actually was a digital video specialist during my junior. I was an intern. I was an intern there from my junior year of high school all the way through graduation from Georgia Southern. When we went home for summers and we went home for breaks, I was going back and still interning with the school district, helping run their television station.
Wow. So James, what did you go to school for at Southern? What was your major?
My major was broadcasting, so I had a degree in broadcast administration and also broadcast production.
So you've always, to your point, not only just the interest of it in high school, but you always, even during Southern, you were going into broadcasting and wanted to work behind the camera.
Yeah, I always did, and the other thing that was awesome is that one thing a lot of people don't know is that my last 2 years at Southern, I actually had an athletic scholarship through Georgia Southern's football team.
Oh, wow.
As their videographer for the football team.
So they gave you a scholarship to just go around and do the videography work.
Yeah, man, I got a full scholarship for doing that. And the other thing that was dope is that I also I also, help boost their GPA a little bit. So, hail Southern. I love my Georgia Southern Eagles. I love my football team. We had a bad week this past week, but hey, we gonna fight back and we gonna win this conference championship this year.
Who do we lose to this week?
Unfortunately, it was the University of Louisiana Monroe. The War Chickens. They beat us, but hey, we're gonna finish this thing strong. We're gonna beat Troy. I'll be there this week.
Yeah.
We're undefeated with me in the stadium this year, so.
See, that's the problem, man. You got to get out into the games, man.
Exactly. They need me there, man. So I just picked up my tickets today. I'll be there.
Yeah.
They got a good parking space, too, in the Blue Row, so look for me there.
That's cool, man. That's cool. So when you graduated from Southern, you started working back with Fulton County Schools?
So when I graduated from Southern, I actually started the company while we were at Southern.
Gotcha.
So I started the company while we were at Southern, but I took my first job with this. It was this internet broadcasting station called BusinessTVChannel.com. They're now currently out of business. It was a great company. I just left because I'm going to be honest, when you can't figure out the way that things work and the way that dollars come into an organization, it's best to leave before you have any more questions.
That's it.
So I left there, made some great friends over there who I still work with. Shouts out to Christian Jolly. And I even went on from there, and I went to the city of East Point, and I ran their TV station starting in 2006.
Oh, wow.
Went from there to Fulton County Schools, then from there to Atlanta Public Schools, and then from there to Atlanta to city of, actually not the city of Atlanta. Went from there to just being all out just for my company.
Wow. With that, that experience of going into these different places, like you talked about internet. What'd you say? Internet business TV?
It was a business TV channel. Yeah.
Okay. So like,
it was an internet TV station. It was dope though.
Okay. So from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I like to always talk about business a little bit. What were some of the problems you saw with their business model and why they couldn't make money?
Well,
that you can talk about if it's
well, it's just the little things, like you didn't have the ability to really track the metrics as to who was viewing your content.
Gotcha.
Like you and I, we were having this conversation earlier about as a content creator, it's always good to be able to have the analytics and be able to dive down to see who your customer is. Well, I was producing their content, and I've always been somebody that likes to dig into the analytics and look at everything, and I would see all this content that I'm producing, but I wouldn't see the consumers.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to be able to be producing tons and tons and tons of content, but when you don't see people consuming it, it kind of hurts you because you don't see that money coming back in.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you don't see
subscribers. Like they had a few large companies that were working with them, but there's no way that those large companies were supplementing the space that they had and all of the equipment that they were constantly purchasing. It just didn't seem like it was a sustainable model.
I got you. You got to know where you got to know the analytics, because that tells you where you need to spend your money.
Right.
That's the biggest piece. For me, with my podcast, Culture and Conversations, I have breakdowns through my host provider that tell me exactly what cities people are actually listening to the show in. So if I ever get to the point where I have enough listeners, knock on wood, then, I know, okay, these are my 5 major cities. I'm going to go do live podcasts at these 5 major cities.
Right.
And then I'm going to sell merch to these people because these are the people who are most rocking with the podcast. But to your point, if you don't know who's looking at your content and you don't know where the eyeballs are coming from, then you can't expect to be successful running a business on content. So now tell me more about the business that you started. You started Ikon Filmworks. Where did you get the name Ikon from? Because I love the name.
Yeah.
And what was the thought process behind the business initially, and kind of how and where it is at today?
Well, the company Ikon Filmworks, it was started while we were at Georgia Southern. I still remember I was sitting in my dorm room, actually not my dorm room, my apartment over there in College Park Apartments, apartment 714A, sitting in there, and I was thinking about what would be great names for my company. And I before I do anything, I always want to make sure that I research what something means.
Sure.
So I looked at what constantly stuck out to me was icon this, icon that, icon that. And it was whenever I look at things and you look at people and you're like, oh, that person is an icon. It means that they're the best at what's happening.
I got you.
I look at my company as being. I look at everything I do as being the premium, the top of the top of the top, the top of everything. I like for us to be the best at everything.
Yeah.
And the thing I always want to do is I always want everything I do to be looked at as being done in an iconic way.
I got you.
So that's why we came with the name Ikon Filmworks. And the reason why we spell it with a K is because I prefer the phonetic spelling over the regular spelling.
I got you. It looks better too. Like the K versus the C. I got to be honest, it does look better.
Thank you.
So, what's some of the stuff you've worked on, man, that you are, that you can talk about, obviously, and that has been something that you would consider a success story for Ikon?
Well, I'd honestly say like one of the biggest things that one of the first things I ever did that was like the biggest thing for me, and I still look back at it, was when we did our first live streaming event actually for Operation Hope back in 2013.
Wow.
That was huge because I had to actually troubleshoot an issue that we were having because we wanted to have a live conversation with the Crown Prince of Norway in his home in Norway, but we wanted to have a conversation with him, and it'd be able to go on between John Hope Bryant, Bernice King, and Andrew Young, all sitting in Ebenezer Baptist Church.
Wow.
So we had to, calculate we had to figure out what service to use so that they could have this live conversation back and forth.
Yeah.
And also how to get this streamed out. How to get this streamed out to the masses. So we needed to have the conversation live so that they could participate right there in the church.
Yeah.
And also have it so everybody can hear everywhere.
I got you.
So that was one of the big things for us, and that was an awesome project. Also, there's been, we do a lot of conference videography, and also we do a lot of conference videography. We consult with a lot of governments. Local governments have been a blessing for us because we've worked with a lot of them. There's been the city of East Point, city of Atlanta, and also the city of College Park, and also the city of South Fulton.
Yeah.
They've all been blessings to us, and we love working with all three of those organizations.
So they bring you in saying, hey, James, we've got this event. We've got dignitaries here. We've got conferences that we're running, whatever, training. And then they say, how do we get our content out to whoever the consumer is? And they bring you guys in to set up the infrastructure temporarily for their purpose to get the content shot.
They come to us for us to help them tell their story. Like one of the more fascinating things I can say is that I was working with the nonprofit Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies of Georgia.
Okay.
And we had to produce 2 videos for them, and we had to go on location in a ton of different areas. Just to make the long story short, we had to go to all of the first ladies of Georgia.
Wow.
And we had to conduct interviews with them to talk about why Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies of Georgia, and what do these first ladies of Georgia believe is their lasting impact from their time being in the governor's mansion.
Wow.
And just hearing those stories that we had to tell, unbelievable. I had the honor of interviewing Sandra Deal, who is a sweetheart. Had the honor of interviewing Miss Purdue, and also the amazing Rosalind Carter.
Wow. That's Jimmy Carter's wife, right?
Jimmy Carter's wife.
Wow, that's amazing.
She is amazing, and the stories that she told, it's incredible. I even just go back sometimes to just look at the raw footage from those things, and there's so much more that can be done with it. But there's only so much. I was only given a 3-minute slot for each first lady.
Yeah.
To put in this video, and each video, I promise you, I have close to 45, 50 minutes of footage on it, and it's amazing.
So with that, in that scenario, you helped them tell their story. Did you ask questions to them, and did you help you help script the interview?
Yeah, we did the full interview with them. And it was we gave them a few questions to ask. But then a lot of times it was, okay, what else do you want to ask? And you have to, you always have to, you got to dig a little bit more to get what you want.
Yeah. That's amazing though. That's part of my tagline for the Culture and Conversations podcast is I'm loving trying to help people tell their story.
Right.
You know what I mean? I love the idea of people who have a story, but they don't necessarily know how to tell it. And then you come into the picture and you help them kind of tell it,
Right.
And in this age that we live in now where video, photography, just all of the media that we're consuming, it just has grown astronomically and exponentially. you need people who, like you, Ikon Filmworks, who can come in and help tell the story digitally across those different mediums and genres, because that is where we're at now. We're in an age where people expect you to have video to tell the story. People expect you to have photography that tells the story. People expect you to have a podcast to tell the story.
Right.
And I mean, I see your business and your content that you're creating just continually to grow and continue to grow. What have been some of the challenges you face, man, with Ikon Filmworks? Like, what are some of the hard times and lessons you've had to learn as you've gone about the process of developing your company?
Well, one of the big things I had to realize is that, honestly, this is funny. I was just having this conversation with my friend Zach at the Outstanding Atlanta dinner on Friday night. I had to realize that for me, there's really no such thing as work-life balance.
Wow.
You have to really, really focus on work-life integration, and it's not work-life integration is.
All right, you got to unpack that. That sounded kind of deep. That sounded kind of got to help you with that one.
Yeah. So work-life integration is the process of actually taking what you do and really, really just focusing more on the brand of you and less so much on the actual company. So what I've been doing is that, yes, people know Ikon Filmworks. People also, they know me very well. But what it is that a lot of times when people, they want to do business with Ikon, sometimes they won't know it's me.
Okay.
They'll know we want to work with James. And what happens a lot of times is that people say they get to know me, they'll talk to me, and then they'll say, you know what, James, what can we do to work together on something? And then we'll discuss what exactly it is that I do, and people then find a way to work with it. I mean, like this happens more often than not. As an entrepreneur, that's what I do. I work my personal life with my company.
Gotcha.
And it works out amazingly for me.
You have a balance where you bring your company and its activities into
the company's always with me.
Gotcha. That's a great point you made there. I mean, I didn't think about it like that. And I agree, right? I consider culture and conversations as much a hobby as it is also an entrepreneurial endeavor. Right. And people see me sometimes, they see me with recorders and they see me with the cameras and they see me, traveling and hashtagging and all this stuff. It's always there. It's always a part of it. As you integrate your business and your life together, what are some of the things that you do to sort of make sure that you do have some balance there? Like, is there any tips for that, or is that just a matter of you making the time and you just having a strong schedule to keep it all in order?
Well, the thing is that it's not me ever making time. If you ever see my Google Calendar, I live by it to the T.
Yeah.
If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist.
Gotcha.
Like everything from. Like everything's on the calendar. Everything from me eating breakfast to me going to the gym to me to heck, my furniture being delivered to my house on on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Everything is on the calendar.
Everything's on the calendar, yeah.
So if it's not there, it doesn't exist.
So I mean, that's a good tip, because just prioritizing using the calendar will help you determine if it's important or not. If it's not on your calendar, then to your point, it doesn't exist. That must mean it's not that important for you to be spending time on.
Right. And the other thing is that like you can't really sit there and like, I'm not gonna lie, I have a low attention span. I really do.
Okay.
So what I actually do is that I have these other little productivity tips that I use. Things like if I'm going to work, like a lot of times I just go and I work at my laptop. I'm working at my laptop 90% of the time.
Sure.
If I'm working at my laptop, I'll set a timer in my Google, I'll set a timer on my phone. It'll literally let me know, okay, it's time to take a break. So I work 45 minutes, take a break for 15.
Okay.
So I might be working for 45 minutes, then go watch 15 minutes of First Take.
Gotcha. What does your day look like, man? What is a day in the, not even a day, right? Let's talk about the week, your work week.
Okay.
So let's say, take me through your work week. What does that look like in terms of shooting, in terms of editing, in terms of booking clients? What does that look like, in your world of Ikon Filmworks?
Okay. Well, the crazy thing is that the booking thing happens like around the clock.
Okay.
Because I had somebody call me yesterday morning at 10 a.m. No, this morning at 10 a.m. for a project that's coming up next Monday.
Oh, wow.
That it's an AV project because we're trying to expand into the AV world also of providing full AV services. So if you have events, things of that nature, we're trying to expand into that area now as well.
All right. So let me ask you about this. We're going to get back to your week, because that sounded deep. So AV services, like you show up and you film and you provide the venue or the event with all of the what they need?
Everything you need, from the speakers, the microphones, the projectors. We have a partnership with some of our other friends that own companies, and we're partnering together to put these services together, because it makes no sense that we can't sit here and win in that space. I'm going to be honest. You look, there's a lot of AV companies, but there's not a lot of AV companies that look like us. They're not young, black, and handsome.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
They're not like
right
us.
there. Young, black, and handsome. That's it, man.
But me and a few of my friends, that's the road that we're going down. We want to try to win in that space as well.
Yeah.
Because we're already winning in the video world. But the thing is that when you conquer one thing, you always have to look for another mountain to climb.
Yeah. I mean, that keeps you diversified too in terms of being a business owner. I mean, you have to have multiple streams of income, and we always talk about that in church and in other places where we get financial perspective. We'll talk about having multiple sources and multiple streams of income. But to your point, yeah, you need to have another market or another revenue source for your business.
Absolutely.
So I was asking you about
the work week.
What does that look like?
So literally so I'll just talk about this week coming up, and I'll actually pull that up on my iPad right here real quick. But I know that tomorrow morning I'm pretty much spending the first half of the day just doing pretty much all editing.
Okay.
Editing and kicking out some DVDs for some clients that they actually need DVDs for. Not a lot of clients need DVDs, but I have certain ones that they like to still receive DVDs. Dropbox isn't enough for them.
I got you.
Because a lot of times the majority of my clients, they're like, put it in Dropbox, put it in Google Drive, we're good. So pretty much from 8 until, actually really, let's say 7:30 until about noon, I'll be editing and finalizing projects.
Okay.
After that, I'll be doing just doing some different little client calls to call around to make sure that we're on pace with a few other projects. So that does that. Then on Tuesday, I'm going to be editing the entire day. Also going around doing some drone footage during that time also, because I've really, really immersed myself with my drones.
Okay.
I'm obsessed with using them, so I try to use drones in just about everything now. So I'll be doing editing and drone work most of Tuesday.
Okay.
Because I've got one client that they need some drone work for their front page of their website.
And by drone work, you're talking about like those aerial shots where you see like the slow pan across a particular area.
Yeah, slow pans across different areas, actually flying through some stuff, that stuff. So that'll be most of the day Tuesday. That'll be doing that.
Okay.
As well as waiting on some furniture to be delivered that we just bought.
Nice.
And then I have a board meeting for the Technology Association of Georgia that evening. The next day is literally more edits, more calls, and also scheduling shoots for the weekend.
Yeah.
This week is actually going to be a short week for me because, because Thursday I have 2 shoots that day. So Thursday I'm actually going to be working with the Atlanta Fire Foundation because we're doing I'm shooting their breakfast for Breakfast with Our Bravest, and that's going to be pretty awesome. And then I'm going to be getting started on editing that because we have a fast turnaround on that project.
Yeah.
And then Friday I'm flying to Savannah because we got to get ready to go back down to Southern because I got to cheer on the boys on Saturday.
Cheer on the boys. That helps me understand your perspective and how you go through and move within your week. People ask me oftentimes about my how I do the podcast, and I'm not gonna say it's exactly your style because it's not.
Yeah.
What I do is, I have bookings where I send out emails. I have a period of time I try to set aside during the week.
Right.
Send out my emails, send out my direct messages on Instagram and Facebook to get people on the show. Once I get them into the pipeline and get them scheduled, then it's just a matter of I'll set up a couple of actual interviews, maybe in the same day. Like I got 2 today where I got you, and then I've got another one coming up as soon as we get wrapped up.
That's cool.
And then we bang out as many interviews as we can in a day.
Yeah.
And then at that point, it's about building up the backlog because I have a schedule I have to release on. So I try to keep a social contract of some kind with my audience to release, once a week. And then that means I have to have an episode in a hopper, ready to go out once a week.
Yeah, I always got to keep something in the pocket.
You got to. So usually the Tuesday night before I release is really the busiest time for me because that's when I'm editing.
Right.
I'm recording my intros and my commentaries, and then also do an outro and getting the episode finished off. And then I publish. So it's you have to, but I mean, it's a workfrind. It's a grind. It's a grind,
Yeah.
So man, James, you were talking about just a lot of stuff that's been going on with you though. Like, you're talking about in 2016, you were selected as one of the Georgia Southern 40 under 40.
Yeah.
Just tell me about some of those other awards that you've received and you've been a part of.
Okay, I'll start with honestly the one that changed my life was actually, I'd say, in 2012, I was selected to be a fellow in the New Leaders Council. That was the fellowship that actually changed my life because it made me really, really sit back and look at the way that I work. Back in 2012, I was a completely different person than I am today.
I got you.
I used to be the way I phrased it, I was very, very multi-passionate. I would literally sit there and if there was something going on, if there was an event that was going on, I felt like I had to be at it and I felt like I had to contribute to it. Yeah. And I didn't really know exactly what my cause was.
Gotcha.
And I didn't understand what life entrepreneurship was. I didn't understand how to use what I did, one, to further myself more financially, and two, to also help further other causes at the same time. I didn't understand how to do that.
Okay.
And that's what I learned in 2012. So from there, I refocused everything, and everything in my life completely changed after 2012.
Okay.
2016, I was named to the Georgia Southern 40 under 40.
Okay.
2017, I received the I was selected to be a part of the inaugural class of emerging leaders of DeKalb through Leadership DeKalb.
Okay.
2018, I was a fellow in Lead Atlanta, which is the young professionals part of Leadership Atlanta, and most recently I was selected as a member of the honorees for Outstanding Atlanta for 2018.
Oh wow!
And that I'm actually a member of the 50th class of Outstanding Atlanta, and that I'm not gonna lie. When I found out that I was selected to be a part of Outstanding Atlanta, I almost cried because the shoulders of I'm standing on the shoulders of giants here. I mean, like the people that are part of that class. I mean, the current mayor of Atlanta, she was a member in '96.
Wow.
The woman who I say is going to be the future governor of Georgia, she was a member in '98.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. And I mean, like the previous mayor of Atlanta, he was also class of '96. All of these people, they're amazing to me.
Wow.
And and that's just mentioning just a few of them. There's state representatives. There's also other people who are ruling the media world, who are all parts of this family, and I was welcomed into it a couple of months ago.
Wow. You you mentioned all of those great organizations that you're a part of. Why has that been such a part of what it is that you have done with your brand and your business? What is it that networking has given you that you've been able to use to build your business as well as your personal community involvement?
Well, I'd like to say that networking that I've done through all of those organizations, the thing that it's really done for us is that one, it's brought us closer to the causes that we really care about, and it also it's made it so that I've been able to actually kind of sort of intertwine my company more with the causes that I care about.
Wow.
I've been I really, really care about helping single mothers with housing, and helping improve communities in that way. So that's how I became involved. We're involved with Warwick Dunn Charities.
Okay.
I care about that. I care about people having equity across the board. That's how my company became involved with the partnership with Southern Equity.
Yeah.
That's all of it has come together, and it's been beautiful because you can really, really make a difference with something when you can really, really tie yourself to what it is you're working on. And I don't just look at my clients for my company as being just clients. I look at them as, they're friends. Yeah. All of them.
Yeah. And you're really trying to touch people, it looks like. I mean, that is always a great way of pairing mission and the entrepreneurship, because it gives you a chance to have a mission, but a little bit of a moral mission into what you do.
Exactly.
And it seems like in 2018, people really want to connect with the moral mission of a business as much as also the actual services that business offers. So, man, James, you know, as we kind of wrap up this portion of the conversation, man, how can people find out more about your business and what you do and get in touch with you if they want some of your services, man?
Well, easiest way to find out about me and about the business, follow us on all the social media profiles. You can always find me on Facebook at James Hammond. On Instagram, my personal Instagram is Mr. Ikon 1906, spelled IKON.
Okay.
The company is Ikon Filmworks, IKON Filmworks on Instagram. You can also follow us. You can also look at our website, www.ikonfilmworks.com. It's also those same handles on Twitter as well.
Okay. You said 1906, so you might want to shout them people out, man.
Yeah, I always got to give a shout out to the bros of Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Always got to give them a shout out.
Cool, man. Cool. James, man, I appreciate you being a part of the Culture and Conversations podcast, being a part of the sit down. I just appreciate you, man, making the time for my audience and doing this part of the show, man.
Anytime for you, brother. Anytime.
Cool.